Hey everyone, today I want to talk a little bit about the differences between variable, let, and constant, because sometimes it's kind of hard to understand until you work with it a little bit. Let's say if true, which is going to return true, let's go ahead and create a variable called name that equals my name, Thomas. And then let's console log name. So let's make sure I'm in the right folder and run node app.js. And it says Thomas, and maybe this is some behavior that you expected and you never really thought about what's happening, but this line kind of proves that it's taking this variable declared within the scope of this if statement and making it available to our global object. So we could console log name directly as if we didn't have this and it was just like var name. Now, if we change this variable to a let statement, we notice when it goes dim. Let's try running this code and seeing what we get. It says name is not defined, and that's because once you declare it using this let statement, it will keep it to the scope within the block that it was declared in. And it doesn't just work for if statements. That is just a quick example we could come up with. Try to think about, for instance, the for loop. When we said for variable I equals 0, if I is less than, let's say, 10, let's say I++, and then let's just console log I, just a basic count up using a for loop. Clear this out. And it counted 0 to 9, exactly what we expected. But maybe you didn't try console logging I outside of that for loop, because why would you? You only needed I within the scope of this for loop. But it turns out if you run this app, you still have access to I. But you never really needed that. You didn't need the I outside of the for loop. If you change it to a let statement, now if we try running the code, now we're no longer able to console log I on line 5 because I is stuck within the scope of this for loop. Super useful. So one way you could think about it is the let is just like a variable pretty much. You can use it in a lot of the same ways. It doesn't really change much. It's just going to keep it to the scope where that let was called. Let's take a look at another one, which is const. Const name equals Thomas. Let's clear it out and let's run it. Oop, we got a console log name. We get name. It's going to work the same way with let. So if we say if true, and then copy this line in this if statement, run it, we get name is not defined. And that's because we're trying to console log it outside of the scope within this block right here. So still, it works in that same way, but there's something else a little special about constants in here. So I've got this const name, and it's Thomas, name, Thomas, and we already ran that. Let's change this to a let statement. And then down here, let's say let name equals J. Something like that. See how it console logs J? So we first initiated with this name Thomas, and then we were able to change that, that value J, and we were able to console log it, just like we would on a variable. It would not much change there. Now, if we change this to a const, we're going to get some different behavior here. It's telling us that we are trying to make a new assignment to a constant variable, and that's kind of a good way to think about it, because that new assignment is telling you that there's this change that's happening directly from memory to what's being assigned to that place in memory, and you can't really change a constant in that way, but that's saying that you can't change that place in memory. You should not describe it as a const is a value that can't be changed, even though it kind of looks like that from here. Let me show you what I mean by that. If it was an object, something like an array or an object, as we call it here, we'll be able to access the object and then change some key inside of the object. We just won't be able to reassign that place in memory to anything new. And I'll show you exactly what I mean. Let's say const me equals fname Thomas, Let's make sure const is spelled right. And then let's go ahead and say fname equals j. And let's go ahead and console log it, but it did just give you a pretty good idea here because it didn't throw an error. But let's run this code to see that we were able to reach inside this place in memory and then change a key inside of it. We are just not ever going to be able to reassign it. So me equals fname j, something like that. Nope, won't let you do it because it's a constant. You won't be able to reassign it. All right, I hope this has been helpful.